We like to say that, men and women, we have 15,000 mitochondria in our brain cells and our heart cells. So those are the most important areas, and they kind of are. Except in women, they have between 100,000 and 600,000 mitochondria per cell in their ovaries.
Wow.
It's because their ovaries are constantly searching the world to figure out if it's safe and to know which egg of the billion or so they're going to drop. I forget how many eggs are in a woman when she's born, but it's a lot. And they're going to choose the perfect egg for the environment from the first 3 months. And all of that sensing, that is where intuition sits. It sits in mitochondrial density. And this is why over and over, you ask women, do you have, female intuition? And some people are like, well, men and women are the same. No, they're not. Some of them can have babies, some can't. So that honor that intuition. Oftentimes women become much more intuitive when they're pregnant, when they have young children. So if you're the dad, don't make fun of all that stuff, right? It's actually real. And your job is to make things happen around the house that make your woman feel safe.
You are listening to Dedicated Joe, the new dad's guide on the upending and transformational experience of becoming a father. I'm so excited to have one of my heroes on the show today, Dave Asprey. This guy is one of the fathers of the biohacking movement, an amazing entrepreneur and author of 4 New York Times bestselling books. You might have heard of his creation, the Bulletproof Diet or Bulletproof Coffee, which I drink every day. And he's just impacted millions of people on performance and longevity and health. What you might not know about Dave is he is also a dad of 2 teenagers, and a lot of his biohacking work actually started from his family, how he optimized fertility, pregnancy, resilient kids. And he co-wrote the Better Baby book, which was one of the foundational texts for my wife and I's baby food company. In this conversation, we dive deep into the parenting side of biohacking. Dave shares about why nutrition is so important during pregnancy and how supplements and the environment can shape a child's development, why the birth experience can leave a lifelong imprint. We get into breastfeeding, EMFs, postpartum recovery, and the role dads play in protecting intimacy and connection after kids. This is a deep one, guys, very practical, so get your notepad out. Sometimes provocative, though, so buckle up. It is full of tools every dad can use. Dave, great to have you.
I am really happy to be here and just to get to talk about one of my favorite topics,
Yeah, babies, man. Can't go wrong with
babies.
babies. So, yeah, you've been a hero of me and my wife's for a long time. We were big in the paleo scene, and so, you were one of those forefathers. I still drink my bulletproof coffee every day, though now I make it with the Danger coffee, best coffee I've ever had.
Thank you.
Plus, it's mold free and remineralized, but the taste alone is like just out of this world. So, Danger coffee. Love what you've done for my morning routine. I'm drinking cold brew I made from the Danger right now.
So cool, Joe. I love that, man. I have consistently been a coffee fan since I really discovered it my freshman year of college. The only time I ever got an A in calculus was when they forced me to do an 8 a.m. class.
Mm.
And so I just discovered triple espressos, and only A I ever got it. I like math. I just wasn't great at it.
Yeah.
Still graduated, with my sciencey stuff, but it's been a great love ever since. And then I figured out it was making my brain different. And then I learned all the longevity benefits. And when I came back from Tibet after learning all this meditation, I'm like, wait, there's magic to this. And it got to the point that I finally said, the first product ever sold over the internet was a t-shirt that said caffeine, my drug of choice. I sold it out of my dorm room, like literally the first e-commerce before e-commerce had a name. I was just trying to pay my tuition, but I finally got the tattoo of caffeine. So you got all these Austin friends we both have with, I have oxytocin and DMT. I'm like, dude, I got caffeine.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So that's so fun. Yeah, I love coffee, and your Better Baby book was key to me and Serenity's journey starting
Oh
the
man.
Serenity Kids. Like, it was a fundamental text that we reviewed. Also, she reviewed. She's the editor for figuring out how to remake baby food.
That
In fact, we
that just
actually considered trying to sell you the idea and call it Bulletproof Baby. That was one of our initial thoughts. Was like, we don't want to start a baby company. Maybe Dave would just
wow.
fly our concept and start Bulletproof Baby. Um,
Man, that
did
that touches my heart that it made a difference for you guys. And there's thousands of babies who wouldn't have been born from that book. And it was my first book. And I was in Stade, Switzerland,
hmm,
a little expensive chalet thing, and I was speaking at an event, and this couple like was kind of looking at me from this table, and I thought, oh, they must be at this event. There's only like 100 people here. um, I don't remember seeing them, and they're with their kids, and they finally just walked over and like, Dave, we're from, I don't remember which country, like somewhere else in Europe, and those two kids, we couldn't have kids, and we read your book, and then we have two babies, and the
wow.
kids are like 5 or 6, and I'm like, what are the odds that in a small chalet somewhere that so like, oh my gosh, it's one of the most meaningful things I've ever done was write the Better Baby book, because what happens when you focus like you are with baby food on the health of children. And people are like, Dave, what's the secret to living a long time? Like, it's really easy. Have healthy parents before you were conceived and during pregnancy and in that first year of life. The earlier you are healthy, the more resilient you are for life. So making quality baby food, it's like a sacred act, because
Hmm,
nourishing another human is a sacred act. Nourishing a baby is even more.
yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, for sure. And it's been fun hanging out with you in Austin. We've kind of seen you around the conscious scenes, and we share mutual friends of Scott and Mel, and Scott has been on the show as well to talk about his work
Cool.
with Ben, and we've seen their parenting journey. And Mel mentioned that you helped a bunch with her pregnancy, and did various tips. And so just wanted to have you on, talk about, so this is the Better Baby book. I'm sure there's probably more stuff you've learned from that. So yeah, let's start with pregnancy. Like, what kind of tips did
Okay.
you give Mel? What are some key things for pregnant women and for dads to help with their pregnant wives?
Well, one of the things to understand about pregnancy is that your body really, really wants the building blocks of babies. In the Better Baby book, I have like a diagram. It's think of it like a bar chart, but it's a human body, and it's what percentage of your body is carbs.
Hmm.
It's less than 1%, right? And you're mostly fat in your cell membranes. Actually, you're mostly water. And then fat and protein are the two big things. And there's a bunch of minerals in there too. So it follows that if you want to build a baby, you should have good hydration. You should have lots of minerals because they need them. And if the mother doesn't get minerals, or even worse, she's eating so called superfoods that take minerals away from her and the baby, the mom's body will steal the minerals from her bones and her cells because babies are more important. And if you eat omega fats like DHA, especially, then you have enough for the baby. If you don't, it'll strip them out of mommy's brain, out of mommy's cell membranes.
Hmm.
Babies come first,
Hence
mommies come
hence the
second.
mommy brain problem. It's like
Yeah.
nutrition being drained. Yeah.
Nutrition is a major part of the mommy brain, and some of it's hormonal as well. And this is kind of a weird thing. Mother Nature is so obsessed with the next generation, as she should be, that even studies show, is politically incorrect, but I got to say it because it's real. If you are a high IQ woman, when you're ovulating, your IQ drops.
Hmm.
And if you're a low IQ woman, when you're ovulating, your IQ goes up.
Hmm.
This is proven in studies. What the hell? Right?
Hey, Della, what's your favorite bar?
IQ bar, of course.
This one? What do you love about it?
It's yummy.
IQ bars are so good, and they're only 1 gram of sugar, but 12 grams of protein, plus good fat from MCT oil, lion's mane adaptogenic mushrooms, the most absorbable form of magnesium out there. IQ bars are just a great healthy snack, all natural ingredients, no junky stuff that tastes great. Get a discount off your first order with code DADICATED at checkout. Click the link in the show notes and enjoy the bar.
Gimme, I want to eat it. Gimme. Got it.
So there are things that happen in a woman's brain, especially in the last trimester and in the first couple of years of life. And not every woman gets mommy brain, but it is common. It is a real thing. My co-author of the book got it for sure. She's a very high IQ medical doctor. And she's like, what just happened? I've worked with CEO moms, and they're saying, I can't do my job anymore. Because Mother Nature rewires your brain to pay attention to little details that shouldn't matter, to be hyper tuned to little sounds, right? And this whole nesting instinct. But like, I never liked shopping, and I just can't stay away from Target. Like, what is going on here? It's natural. It's normal. It'll pass. And there are things you can do about it. And the most important thing you can do is, as soon as you know you're pregnant, or ideally before, you start avoiding toxins from plants and toxins from man-made things. You pay attention to your air quality. Buy an air filter for yourself and baby. Pay attention to your light quality. Get dimmer switches and red lights at night. Don't have a bright home. It really disrupts mitochondrial biology. The happier mommy and daddy's mitochondria, the healthier the baby.
So even starting in pregnancy, because we talk about sleep, we'll talk about more about sleep because it's such a hot topic for
Oh, yeah.
newborns. But even in pregnancy, the red light at night
Oh, yeah.
filter.
You'll have an easier pregnancy.
Yeah.
And if you find that you're getting morning sickness is mitochondrial dysfunction, usually caused by toxin consumption or inability to excrete toxins. And one of the little known ways to get rid of it for many people is to take more of a mineral called molybdenum. And that's because it helps to recycle glutathione, which your body needs in order to excrete toxins.
People just Google that and there's like a supplement called that, or it's in.
Yeah, it's a mineral. It's in a lot of trace mineral formulas. It's in Minerals 101, which is a supplement that I make, but a broad spectrum mineral formula should do that.
Okay.
And then some things you might really love eating, like spinach or almonds or kale, cashews, even raspberries. These are very high in a compound called oxalate that forms razor sharp microscopic calcium crystals that do affect the uterus and the kidneys. And you probably want to, if you eat something and your stomach doesn't feel good later that day or the next day, don't eat it again. So that's why it's important. And then other beautiful things happen. I'm a fan of breastfeeding. I'm also a fan of having a birth that is as low stress as possible for mom and baby. That means avoid the hospital unless there's a specific reason to be there. I caught both my babies at home.
Yeah.
I had a midwife and a doula both times. And it costs less than being at the hospital. And it has lower risk than being at a hospital for normal risk pregnancies. And understand that the way your baby's born and treated sets the tone for their nervous system for the rest of their life. In my case, I was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck 3 times. I didn't lose oxygen, so I thought it didn't matter. It was only when I was 30 and I had all sorts of weird stuff going on that I met the head of the Pre and Perinatal Psychology Association at the first personal development event I ever went to. I didn't know that was what she did. And she looks at me. She has these like glowing blue eyes, like from Dune. I didn't know she was in her 80s already, like just a wise woman. And she goes, "Tell me about your birth." And I'm like, "Hospitals, vaginas?" And she said, "No, was there anything? Do you know?" And I said, "Yeah, there was the cord." And she goes, "Yeah, I know." "What do you mean you know?" She goes, "This is you." And just like a PowerPoint SWOT analysis that's like all of my reactivity and fear and shame and PTSD kind of symptoms. And I was like, "How could you know that?" And she goes, "It's science. We've been tracking what birth experiences lead to personality outcomes for 30 years. We have the data. It's real." So a peaceful entry into the earth without beeping monitors and doctors running around like it's a medical emergency. Dude, it's not. Birth from a healthy mother who's eaten properly and is ready to continue nourishing her baby, one who's cared for, who's safe, surrounded by community. It is meant to be a sacred, even orgasmic experience. It is the introduction of new life, and it is so far away from a hospital experience. I cannot stress that enough. And that's what I was able to provide for my kids. Right. And the first thing we did before any kind of anything is you wipe them off and you set them right on mom's chest, and you don't put them on the nipple. And you'll see these babies, they don't know they have a body yet. They're just like, "What? I've never even seen light. I've never experienced air." But they just know. They lick, or they don't like, they may lick, but they smell their hands that smell like amniotic fluid. And mom's nipples make a compound that is similar to amniotic fluid. And then when you lay the baby on the chest, the first move in life is to and then they find the nipple and then they squirm and they make their own way to the nipple. It's called self-attachment.
Wow.
And you can see this look of like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm just got here and I just had my first win. I found the boob. And Like, you can feel, like, the power in these little babies, and it's so magical, but you do it in a dim room with mom and dad holding space and without all the hubbub and without sticking them with stuff and all that. So,
So good.
your job is to protect your baby in that first precious 12 hours after birth. And then you're going to nurse as long as you're going to nurse. And the more that mom eats of high quality food, especially saturated fats like butter, egg yolks, beef, the better the milk quality. And mom should have unlimited carbs, ideally not fast sugars, if she wants them, because you do need carbs for energy. And you're making food for two people, so you don't limit your carbs. If you're worried about weight gain, don't worry about it. You're supposed to gain
What are some best carbs? What are your favorite carbs for that time?
white rice and fruit. Not all fruit, but fruit that's lower in toxins. Those are your best sources. You have honey and maple syrup if you really want to. They're not as good as white rice and those other things. The reason I say specifically white rice, it's the lowest toxin source of starch that's out there, much better than the other grains. And you can have ice cream as long as you're not allergic to eggs or milk. Have real high quality ice cream. In the Better Baby book, I wrote something about a recipe called Get Some Ice Cream, which is exceptionally high in lipids that mother and baby need. It's called Get Some Ice Cream because if you eat it when you're seeking to conceive, your body gets a signal. I have all the ingredients I need to make a healthy baby. I guess we should go to the bedroom. And I've had thousands of people write me and go, Dave, I thought you were joking. Like, I made it for my girlfriend. And like, oh my God. So there's this beautiful and invisible dance between nutrients and pregnancy, fertility, the way mom makes milk, and when babies start to eat what they want to eat. So if mom's eating healthy during nursing and during pregnancy, the baby will want those foods. And healthy does not mean excessive broccoli and salad. That is not what builds healthy babies. I remember when my mother of my children was pregnant with our first baby, we were in Lake Tahoe, went to a Mexican restaurant that had this really good pozole, which is a dish. Some people have heard of it. It has like a special kind of corn, like hominy, and big hunks of pork. It was the last big bowl the restaurant had. They put it on the table. We're going to share it. And I go in with my phone, or with my phone. I go in with my spoon to take a bite, and literally she blocks it with her spoon like a sword, and like a prisoner, like pulls the bowl towards. She's like, nom, nom. And I'm like, "You're pregnant." She goes, "No, I'm not." And I go, "Yeah, you are." And then we took a test, and I'm like, "See, I told you so." So this is natural and healthy, and like you can feel it. The other thing I want to say before we get into like baby nutrient stuff is there is data that shows that when women dream of the sex that their child is, that they're unusually accurate. Like, you know. And one of the things I shared with Mel is you can start talking to your baby when your baby's inside. And you don't talk to it like it's a goo goo gaga. You talk to it with words and you tell it what's going on. You can use simple language, but you use words. And even when babies come out, so many people try to replicate the sounds babies make. Babies are learning how to talk, and it's going to piss them off. So you say, "Oh, look, this is what I'm doing. Oh, did you notice? Like, that's your fingers, that's your toes. You're upside down now. You're right side up. You're safe. We love you." You say that over and over and over. Like, I wrote a song for my kids that talked about secure attachment and just creating a feeling of safety. I sang that freaking song 10,000 times.
Yeah, same.
There's
So
nothing better you can do. It's probably more important than feeding them, but you probably should feed them too. And what you feed them matters greatly, which is why the travesty of Gerber, ugh, it's just terrible. So I love that you've taken on this mission of making really good food for babies.
yeah. Yeah, I wrote a song for Adela as well and sang it to her in utero over and over and over and over again. So it was the first thing she heard when she was born. And now she wants it every night. Like, basically, she can't go to bed without the song. Like, she
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
sings it all the time. It's very sweet. So yeah, thanks for all that. Let's talk about supplements and you know, a lot
Okay.
of like prenatals and all these kind of supplements for pregnancy. So you mentioned the one. What other supplements you like?
Well, I love grass-fed powdered liver or organs. You only want an ounce a day, not more. And this is because it has all of the building blocks, amino acids, minerals, and B vitamins you're not going to get from normal B vitamin supplements in the ratios that our bodies need. So that would be one of my top recommendations. A multi-mineral supplement is a really, really good idea. And from there, it's really rough being a pregnant woman because you go to almost any supplement and it's going to say not for breastfeeding or pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's unsafe. It's because if there isn't a double-blind, placebo-controlled, expensive study the way Big Pharma would, saying it's safe for pregnancy opens the company up for huge amounts of liability, even if it's safe for pregnancy.
Hmm.
So when I'm consulting with a woman like Mel who's pregnant, they'll say, "Is this thing safe?" And then you go to ChatGPT and you make sure you check all of its links so it's not hallucinating. Say, "Is this safe or not, and why?" You know, like, act like an expert in supplements, act like a pre and perinatal nutrition specialist, and tell me about this. And some of the herbs that, a lot of us take every day, you don't want to take when you're pregnant.
Hmm.
Even something like green tea,
Yeah.
which is not really a supplement, but a lot of people say, I switched to green tea from coffee. Like, green tea depletes folic acid. So most women are going to say, let's take folic acid. Don't do that.
Hmm.
Don't eat grains enriched with folic acid either. Folic acid's an unnatural compound that only 2/3 of humans can convert into its active form. And if you can't convert it,
It's
it
toxic. Yeah.
isn't good for you. It
Yeah.
clogs up the system.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things in the Better Baby book that just brings me joy. I learned about MTHFR very, very early. In biohacking circles in functional medicine, this is a genetic condition that many, many people, probably a third of people, have some variant of it. It means your body has a harder time managing certain toxins and making B vitamins active. So, based on the preponderance of evidence and some intuition, I recommended something called folinic acid in the book for pregnant women. And just recently, like in the last 3 months, there's been a big wave of stuff on TikTok and Instagram talking about folinic acid and autism. So the reason that you want to take folinic acid when you're pregnant, not methylfolate, but folinic acid, is that this is a form of B vitamin, specifically like folic acid. But what it does is it bypasses all methylation. This is what the body's trying to make via methylation, and
Hmm.
it doesn't have the side effects that methylfolate or folic acid can have. So this would be very high on my list.
Hmm.
A methyl B12 would be very, very high on my list as well. If you take those two things, you're going to be much happier. I really like anything that helps with forming healthy nerves. Things like phosphatidylcholine can be terribly, terribly important.
Okay. And do those usually say not for pregnancy? They just have to ignore that and
They probably do. Phosphatidylcholine is abundantly healthy for pregnancy. That one is probably not
yeah.
labeled that way, or
Right.
just choline or lecithin,
Uh-huh.
like sunflower lecithin is a
Mhm.
weak form of it. The other ones, I have no idea what they say.
And then the dehydrated liver
Yeah.
powders are great. And then you mentioned one earlier that was a supplement you sell.
Minerals 101.
Oh
It's
yeah.
an example of a broad spectrum, well absorbed multi mineral formula, but I cannot recommend or not recommend that during pregnancy because I haven't had the funding to do double blind clinical controlled studies. So the only thing I can say is you should probably ask your doctor about that if they have any education about it whatsoever. The good news is there are now functional OBGYN doctors. I've interviewed many on my show, and there are functional nutritionists who focus on pregnancy. And if you have the right help, they actually might know. If not, you can do your own research and make some good decisions.
You just search functional pregnancy nutritionist, or is there a website?
Yeah. Find a really good, crunchy midwife who also has, good record keeping and ask. There's always a community of conscious birthing in every city. This is like, it's one of the things that's missing in the world right now is we need our elders to be strong and powerful so they can pass down the wisdom.
Hmm.
And grandmothers, like this is what they're for. There's even one study that shows that there's an evolutionary advantage to having living grandmothers.
Hmm.
And they actually proved it looking at epigenetics. So It's supposed to be that there's the wise women who know about babies and know all this stuff, and then when there's a new mother, they take her in and say, "Well, here's all the stuff that you need to know about how to do this." And it is primarily a female thing, but it's also there's a fathering side of this as well. One of my friends for many years, Alan, he said, "Dave, I've got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and you're just having your first baby. Come over to my house. We'll have some food, and I'm gonna go through the list of everything you need and all the bullshit you don't need." Right, and it was like, this guy's a CTO of a major, major company, actually several of them since then. I go to his house, he has, like, yogurt all over his face because his kids threw it at him, and it's like seeing him in dad mode versus CTO mode, totally different guy. Actually same guy, but just, like, different vibe, and he's like, "Okay, you need a stroller like this. You don't need one of these things, like, this is plasticky crap, like, why would, like," and just going through, oh my gosh, so that was, like, the dad mode thing. But the stuff that women are supposed to do, and sometimes 'cause I'm a fertility expert to a certain extent, I'm not trained. I just spent 5 years figuring out how to not have kids with autism and how to make my wife fertile when we couldn't have children, and it worked. And since then, she's consulted with, hundreds of high net worth families, like doing weekly calls to help them conceive.
Mm,
And her name is, Lana. It's drlana.net, DRLANA.net. So this idea that we're supposed to have that passed down. It's like in the community here, Mel and Scott, they're the first in their friend group to have babies,
yeah.
right? And so, like, I know that I'm like, let me walk you through the stuff you don't know. And I kind of played the role of what a grandma should do there. 'Cause, like, I have 2 old teenagers, right? And like I've focused on this aspect, and so I've studied it, and I'm so happy to share. And then a few other people, not many in their community have kids, and they're all much older. And what you'll find is your tribe, that there's always gonna be one couple from your friend group who's like the first one to have kids. And then if they're like Mel and Scott, they're gonna maintain their community connections. But I would advise you, say you're, in your 20s or 30s, and some of your friends are gonna have a baby, and they're not gonna show up to your things anymore. So show up for them, like, go to their house. It's lonely to have young kids, and what you realize is that once you have kids, for the next probably 14 years of their lives, the parents' primary friend group is other parents who have kids about the same age.
Mm, yep,
Because
happens
look,
fast.
yeah, 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds can play together barely. 2-year-olds and 6-year-olds, no way. Unless the 6-year-olds are conditioned to do that the way they used to years ago. Like Waldorf school kids will do that, but everyone else won't. And so you just realize, wow, I just gave up like 12, 14 years of my life. And then you give it up, but you committed to. So if you're the one who doesn't have kids yet, hang out with the, come over, visit, bring something. And parents really appreciate that. But I see friend groups all the time break up into has kids, don't have kids.
Yep.
And neither one's better than the other, whatever you want to do. But just be kind to pregnant women, be kind to new mothers,
Mm,
and go out of your way for them because they're doing something that we really need in society.
yeah.
And I will admit, I had enough birth trauma when I was a teenager and even a young man. Like the thought of children, like, it was like, how dare they? They want a close parking spot and all that. And I was such a dick about it because of my own trauma. And I've long since resolved that. And anytime I can help a pregnant woman with advice or, just, pushing a shopping cart or opening a door, offering a seat, you just do that.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how old you are. You just do that because it's what's right.
Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, we talked about food and supplements and light, detoxing, other lifestyle behavior hacks
Yeah.
for
Remember, if your kids sleep through the night, so will you. The thing that will buy you the most peace as a parent is do not have a nightlight in your kids' room. Do not have a noise making machine. And the reason you don't want a noise making machine is studies show that white noise actually inhibits dendritic sprouting and some other things. The study's actually in the book, I believe. So we might think it's relaxing or something. It is not a good call. If your baby's having a hard time, swaddle the baby, put him in one of those swings that rocks him back and forth. I know it's so tempting to have a wireless baby monitor. Don't do it. Babies have survived throughout history without wireless baby monitors. If you're going to have one, have it wired. You do not need an EMF emitter in your kid's bedroom. If your camera has an LED light on it, put tape over the LED. Your baby's bedroom should be pitch black. And the second you wake up to feed the babies, the dimmest red light you can manage is the only light you use. And the reason you do that is if you turn on a light, even for 3 seconds to find the bottle or whatever you're doing, that 3 seconds tells the mitochondria in baby, oh, it must be daytime. And then they don't go back to sleep. And then they're less healthy. But because they didn't sleep, you didn't sleep. My kids have slept through the night. I mean, yes, the first 6 months is always brutal because they want to feed all the time and we co-slept and all that. But after that, dim red lights at night means even when they're 5, they get up, you hear pound, pound, pounds. They walk to the bathroom. There's a dim red light already on in the bathroom. Then they go pee and they go back to bed. And they don't come and wake you up. And it's so much better.
Yeah.
So light discipline change everything in your life.
Yeah. We really like the salt lamps, like the red salt lamps.
Yeah.
That nice
Yeah.
vibe. They're really easy to dim, real soft. So kept those up.
Perfect.
I'll put a link to our EMF free baby monitor that we found.
Boom. Yeah.
They exist. But most of them are awful. Like every one of them we tested was like
Yeah.
the worst EMFs I've ever seen.
And it's like, it's okay if you have a cell phone that's monitored, just don't have a wireless signal in the kid's bedroom and don't give the kid your phone to play with unless your phone is on airplane mode. Even then, it's probably not a good idea.
What do EMFs do for babies or pregnant women, or what's the problem with EMFs?
When conception happens, you have one cell. It divides into 8 cells, and those 8 cells become every single part of the body. Your DNA does not have instructions for which cell is supposed to be which part of the baby. Yet somehow it happens. And it happens because of electromagnetic fields. And if you interrupt those electromagnetic fields, they are shown in many different mechanisms to interfere with mitochondrial activity. Your mitochondria in the baby are doing all the work of building the baby. They're working really hard and they're following electromagnetic instructions. And the reason that we know that EMFs, especially strong ones like from a phone right on your belly or right next to your ovaries or your testes, there's something called a voltage-gated calcium channel. And when there's an electromagnetic frequency, it generates a small voltage on the membrane of the cell. And a voltage-gated calcium channel allows calcium to enter the cell, which causes cell swelling, which causes sometimes cell death. And studies show that in men who carry their cell phone in their front pocket, that their sperm quality and number goes down reliably. Their testosterone also drops. So don't carry your phone near your ovaries, near your testes, or near your reproductive system at all. If you're going to have it there, it's on airplane mode. Put it in your back pocket at least. It's not that hard. But I've known this for a very long time. So I've been carrying my cell phone in a cargo pants pocket. I did this religiously for like 7, 8 years. And then I got a DEXA bone scan. Right where my cell phone was is only on my right femur, 15% less bone density where the phone sits. It's a thing. It really is true. So make it a habit that your phone is not in your pocket. Whenever you sit down, you take it out, put it away from you. If it's in your pocket, it's on airplane mode. If it's in your pocket, you don't need it to go off.
Yeah.
So
And for
that's why.
babies too, like all that, obviously, if it affects us that way, it affects babies. They're growing so rapidly. The cells are communicating with each other via their own electromagnetic fields.
Yeah.
And then, so the EMFs that come from cell phones and electronic devices, essentially, the cell gets confused. It's like 2 different kinds of music being played.
That's a great analogy. It also weakens the cell's ability to make heat, electricity, and proteins. It's like it wanted to run at 100% effectiveness. Now it's running at 70% effectiveness. It'll still do its job. It's just harder. And you want to give the baby a signal inside the womb from the moment of conception on, actually even before that, and at birth, and in those first couple of years of life especially, that it is in a world of abundance and safety and set up to thrive. And if you do this starting as early as you possibly can, Mother Nature will automatically make decisions to create a child who can expand, explore, and thrive. And if instead you send a signal inadvertently that you're in a land of malnutrition, stress, lack of safety, and other unseen stressors, whether they're toxins or EMFs or people yelling, there's all kinds of stressors out there, then Mother Nature makes trade-offs to say, you know what, let's create a child that's wired to survive, to just get through this bad time. And you want the child who's like, man, this is a world of abundance and a world of thriving, because it turns out those kids also do better in hard times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And create abundance in the world. Yeah.
They do. And if you do everything right from before conception, and then you do everything right in first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, and you have a great birth, and then mom's like, oh, thank God I'm done. It's time for Taco Bell every day. That passes through into the breast milk. Baby's going to be farting. You're going to have all kinds of problems. Then baby's going to crave Taco Bell later. So mom keeps eating healthy food, not restraining calories, not restraining types of calories. Like, you want more carbs, have more carbs. Get enough fat, get enough protein. Those are important. And vary carbs as you need, and eat as often as you need to. It's okay. And then make sure you get your lab work done 3 months after. You probably have a thyroid problem after you have a baby, unless you ate your placenta, which is kind of gross, but people do that for good reason. And then what happens if you start saying, okay, well, baby's first food, chicken cheese tenders from the kids menu. My kids have never eaten off the kids menu ever.
Yeah.
And yes, it's more expensive. Like, Dad, I'm going to have the steak. Yes, so am I. That's what we eat when we can afford to. Right. And if you can't afford the steak, get the burger, throw away the bun. My kids know that. And they know they feel better. And as they age, they get to a certain age, they're like, you know what? You get to choose how you feel by the food you put in your mouth. So let's have a day where we eat just garbage. And at the end of the day, they're like, oh, my tummy hurts. It got to the point when my daughter was, I don't know, 7 or 8. Our nanny took them to McDonald's through the drive-through, not to get them food. She just wanted coffee or something. And the kids were like, there's a drive-through? Oh my God. And my daughter like rolled out and went, I want one poopy chemical latte, please. Cause she like knows. And it was so cute. But then they food shamed the nanny for getting whatever. And I was like, kids, people eat junk food and fast food because it tastes good, because it's cheap, and because it's convenient. And they're allowed to, right? And there's reasons to do it. So we're going to McDonald's and we're going to get toys. We're going to have ice cream and French fries and pie, and we're going to play on the slide. It's going to be so fun. And these 2 little kids, man, they do this thing kids do. They cross their arms and they puff out their face like this. And they're like glowering at me like, and I go, what? Like, it's going to taste good. And they go, Daddy, you can take us to McDonald's, but you can't make us eat. I go, what are you talking about? And they said, we know what our tummies feel like when we eat that kind of food. We don't want to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm such a good dad. I didn't tell them that. But like, I was like, what a win. They chose it because they had autonomy. They had the ability to make good choices. But that only works if they've been eating high quality, nutrient rich, nourishing food from the first moment they start putting food in their mouth. You're teaching them lifetime skills when they start eating solid food. And that's why what you're doing is so incredibly important.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. What about other weird stuff? You know, you're not a doctor, you're not a pediatrician, so we'll take for a grain of salt. But like,
Well, that's probably a good thing. Look at how good pediatricians are doing these days.
No,
You guys
right?
are.
Hyperbaric chambers, PEMF. You know, these are different kind of biohacking techniques for pregnancy.
I would not play around with PEMF during pregnancy anywhere near.
All right.
The baby. If you have an injured ankle or wrist or something, do it away from the body. I think that's low risk, but you know, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I've seen profound benefits from red and infrared light therapy. People, and we put it right over the belly, and the babies, you can feel them relax. Sometimes they'll like push on it, and you can even take a flashlight and move it around. But red and infrared light can be really relaxing for mom.
It mimics the sun, I guess. You're just concentrating sun benefits.
The sun is fantastic. When you're pregnant, you should spend every minute you can out in the sun, right? Don't get sunburned, right? But man, that is one of the best things you can do because it helps with blood flow throughout the body. It raises vitamin D, which your baby really desperately needs, and it sulfates the vitamin D that your body makes, which makes it its active form.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another supplement that's just critically important is vitamin D, D-A-K and E. When you're pregnant, vitamin D lowers so many risks in pregnancy, and you always want a vitamin K2 at the same time as vitamin D. Vitamin D drives calcium into cells. Vitamin K2 makes sure that it goes to the right cells instead of just calcifying everywhere all willy-nilly. So vitamin D reduces your pregnancy risk probably, if I remember right, even increases IQ, certainly increases resilience and health of kids
There's a lot
after
of
they're born.
questions about the quality of that D. So is there a brand that you swear by?
Vitamin D3 is almost always the same thing.
Okay.
There's a few companies like ours is special because it's vegan
The D3
vitamin.
is good, like the synthetic Ds or whatever.
It's never synthetic. It's either from animals or it's from mushrooms.
If it's
And
D3, you're saying that's the
yeah,
trick.
don't take D2. D2, vitamin D milk is nonsense.
Yeah.
Vitamin D3 is what you want. And then you've got to take some vitamin K2 at the same time. And
Shine and red light, no PMF for pregnancy.
mhm,
We use PMF on our daughter now. She's like 6.
that's totally
There
fine.
was a point in time where, yeah, she would start to get some PMF, but
Yeah. And it's probably low power. You're not using the really strong stuff, right?
yeah, we have a practitioner, so she
Yeah.
recommends
So
whatever.
those are totally fine. The ones that are really strong, like the ones we use at Upgrade Labs, where like your arm is jerking because they drive incredible bone density. But a lot of parents don't know this. If you have your kids start doing like heavy weight lifting and a lot of high impact stuff when they're young, even when they're young teenagers, their growth plates will close and they will be much shorter. So if you want tall kids, feed them tons of protein. You eat tons of protein when you're having them. Make them eat the steak and the eggs more than they want probably, and don't let them lift heavy and do high impact exercise until they're as tall as they wanna be.
Hmm.
I have a good friend who he just overtrained as a 13 and 14-year-old, like Olympic level overtraining, and he's probably 4 inches shorter than he was gonna be because his growth plate's like, "Alright, you wanna train? We got you. Like, you're good enough size for this," because it was too much stress for a growing body.
Interesting. Yeah, running, climbing, those
Yeah.
kinds of things
All
seem
those
pretty.
activities are good, but if you're training to be the best runner on the planet and you're 10, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah, yeah, they do it for fun and stop when they're tired, and yeah, in the sunshine,
Yeah.
she gets a lot of sunshine. We
That
almost never use sunscreen, and she's basically never been burned. Like
that's
all her
beautiful.
friends are like, "We don't use sunscreen." I'm like, "Really?" Like, and then they just basically never get burned. They start to feel hot, they get out of the sun. They just
It's crazy, like,
glow.
a
Yeah,
shirt is a way to not get sunburned, and if
yeah.
you're gonna use sunscreen on kids, it's really important. Mineral-only sunscreen. It works just fine, and these other chemicals, they absorb into the blood. They're endocrine disruptors.
Oof.
Here's something that no one knows, no one talks about, and it's a problem. So we know about endocrine disrupting perfumes and things like that. There are two essential oils that are highly estrogenic that are common in baby products.
Hmm.
Do you want me to say what they are?
Well, tell me what they are. I'm dying on the edge of my seat here.
Lavender and tea tree.
Oh, yeah, those are used a lot because
Yeah.
they smell good and they're antibacterial, so.
The thing about lavender, 6 weeks, even in adult men, is enough to increase growth of breast tissue in men.
Hmm,
It is not something, neither one of those belongs on young children because they're hormones.
okay.
They're medically
Yeah,
useful, but
right.
they're not everyday scents.
Mhm.
There are some that don't appear to have an effect, like sandalwood and things like that, but those two are highly estrogenic. Dad's on testosterone replacement therapy, and let's face it, if you're over 30 and you're alive and you're a man, there's about a 95% chance you're low on testosterone. And you might be able to fix it with light exposure and eating right and all these things, but we have so much environmental stuff going on that if you want to show up as the kind of dad you can, you must have adequate testosterone. And the levels that are adequate vary, but when you're under 35, you should be like around 1,000. And right now, like, oh, 300's normal. 300's normal for grandpa 25 years ago. And a 300 testosterone dude is not going to be able to show up the way he needs to for the mother of his children. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Testosterone raises dopamine, and dopamine motivates you to do things that matter in the world. And low testosterone makes you apathetic and it makes you docile. And the last thing little babies need is a docile dad. They know dad will play with them and a dad who will have the guts to let his kids do dangerous things that mom won't let him do.
Mhm.
Not dangerous because they're going to get hurt, but dangerous enough that it's going to push a mommy brains. Oh my gosh, safety, safety, safety. It's okay. But dad, it's your job to throw
Mhm.
your kids up in the air so high that all the women cringe and watch the babies gleefully go, yeah, do it again, do it again. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, they could fall. They won't.
Yeah. If you got the right testosterone, you'll catch them.
Exactly.
So they say testosterone in men goes down after they have a baby. They're like
Damn
snuggling the
straight.
baby and they're around them. And there's,
Mother Nature's a mean
yeah.
bitch. You know, you have babies, the smell of babies, especially new babies, lowers testosterone in men. And this is a little bit primate, like evolutionary biology based. It's so you won't kill the baby. And that's what apes will do, right? Sometimes their own, quite often others, but there's this weird link in our brain between sex and violence. The same part of the amygdala is activated during intense, like, life-changing sex and going to war. Who the hell knows why it's made that way, but I wrote about that years ago in one of my posts.
Okay.
And so it's beneficial for testosterone to drop a little bit, especially in that first 6 months to a year. And it's also because you're going to want sex a lot and mom's body's not ready for it for a while. And Mother Nature wants you to stick around as a dad and not run off and go with someone else. So it's okay. Testosterone should drop a little bit. The problem is when a baby comes out, there's like the physiological stuff we know about, and then there's like the shamanic esoteric side of things. And the way it really works is the mom and baby are sharing the same energetic life force field. And then when the baby comes out, this is like chi. This is like the stuff that you'd see, you know, when people are doing Reiki and things like that. This is a measurable thing, but it's also, a lot of people don't believe it, but it's readily abundant if you know meditation and things. So the baby is now sharing fields when it comes out with mommy and with daddy. And it's a weight. Mommy's used to it because she's been bearing the weight. But when that baby comes out, it becomes a part of dad's field if he's present in the baby's life. You're carrying that in your energetics and your life force, your libido. It's a tax. And mom's carrying it too. And then over the course of the next, 12, 14 years, the baby slowly separates its energy field. And at some point, it's like, okay, I'm an independent thing, but it takes a long time. And there's always a connection with both parents and the kid. And this is why especially moms and babies typically have a closer connection on this front. Plus, women are more intuitive than men, but there's plenty of cases of men and women knowing thousands of miles away, something's wrong with my baby. They know in their bones it's real. And it's not free. It's sacred and it's special. And there's things you get from parenting you won't get any other way. And I remember when I was having my first baby, I was like, I get 6 weeks off? Dude, I'm going to clean up. I have like a big dollar consulting agreement here that's going to like pay for the nursery. I've got so much time. And I'm like, why am I exhausted? Like I finally just told the guy after 3 weeks, I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was getting into. Like, I can't do this. Like, I'm in dad mode. And
Do
so
you use your paternity leave to take another consulting gig, assuming you'd have
well,
time
it was
to-
a work from home consulting gig. I was going to design a data center architecture for this new company. And I was like,
Classic
it's
immature.
easy for me to do, but
Yeah.
it wasn't easy after having a baby because I didn't know I was going to be carrying the baby's energetic weight as part of my field. Right. And we adjust to it. And there's practices like breath work and some of the stuff that like Scott would do with men's groups that can help guys like stay in that. And there's a lot that we don't teach our young men today. We used to have, rites of passage and all, but there are techniques, energetic techniques that I teach sometimes at Christina Weber's We Deepen around how a man or a father can create the feeling of safety in a woman and any woman, but especially in his partner, and has nothing to do with thinking or acting. It's like an energetic transmission thing.
Give me the
And it's
short version.
important.
How does a man do that? Like, what's that consist of?
Well, it isn't that short of a teaching, but
Yeah.
there are techniques that come from shamanic practice or Eastern meditation. It could be from India or China, but there's a groundedness that either you know how to do it or you don't. It would take a long time to teach it here. And it's tied sometimes to breath, but when you know how to do it, you just ground. And it's not about standing with your feet in a certain way or having it's a thing you do with the field of your life. And once you know how to do that, then you take your field. And again, you have to know what your field is, where it is, and how to manipulate it to do this. That's the hard part to teach. And you open it, like open your heart, and you literally expand it and you wrap it around your woman like a hug,
Mm,
right?
mm.
That's
Like-
half of it.
Yeah.
And then inside that, there's another thing, and you open that up. So it's like this big hug. Now you're enveloped and safe. And you'll see, even if it's just a hug with a friend, is when you'll see her just melt. And they're like, ah, right. That's step one. Step two is you open up the other one. You're like, I'm going to let you see who I really am. And when you do that, absolute trust, because then they know you. And if you learn that, and that's often something you'll learn in a men's group or in relationship courses like in the We Deepen stuff, you do that as often as you can for your kids, and you do as often as you can for mom.
Hmm.
And you do it because that feeling nourishes them, right? But that's one of those things, you want to have enough testosterone and you want to have enough male community to be able to hold that space. But
Yeah.
so many guys become like mini mom, and it's your job to be mini dad, and you're going to do things that pisses mom off because it's so scary for her because she's in mommy mode, and that's okay.
Yeah, a lot of men wonder what their role is. Some men, try different things or become mom, or some men just check out or just go to work and like don't do anything. So we talk a lot on this podcast about things you can do practically around like doing dishes and making food and stuff like that. But this idea of like this energetic holding, because postpartum, like pregnancy, hormones are all over the place. She's still sometimes a little hard to hold or wants some space. But that energetic holding you're talking about, you can do that from anywhere. I mean, I could do it with my wife right now if I could hold her energetically and baby too. I love
You are correct. You can do it from across the world, and they'll feel it if they're sensitive.
yeah,
The
something
other
big
the
into
other thing that's just worth mentioning here, women are more intuitive than men, and there's a biological explanation for that. We have our intuition. It comes from different places and it's for different things. And this is mostly heavily meditated. My newest book, I talk about some of this, but it's pretty esoteric out there stuff, but it's all rooted in science and evolution and how it has to be for us to thrive. Mitochondria guide the antennas that sense intuition. They're called microtubules. And we like to say that, oh, men and women, we have 15,000 mitochondria in our brain cells and our heart cells. So those are the most important areas. And they kind of are. Except in women, they have between 100,000 and 600,000 mitochondria per cell in their ovaries.
wow.
It's because their ovaries are constantly searching the world to figure out if it's safe and to know which egg of the billion or so they're going to drop. I forget how many eggs are in a woman when she's born, but it's a lot. And they're going to choose the perfect egg for the environment from the first 3 months. And all of that sensing, that is where intuition sits. It sits in mitochondrial density. And this is why over and over, you ask women, do you have, female intuition? And some people are like, well, men and women are the same. No, they're not. Some of them can have babies, some can't. So that honor that intuition. Oftentimes women become much more intuitive when they're pregnant, when they have young children. So if you're the dad, don't make fun of all that stuff, right? It's actually real. And your job is to make things happen around the house that make your woman feel safe and still accountable for her whatever trauma patterns. We all have them as men and women, but whatever trauma patterns or anxieties are there, so you can hold space, but you're not going to be coddling and you're not going to be enabling. But when there's reactivity in the house, and there will be, because it's really frustrating when kids, like, I just cleaned the house and I just found the walls painted with feces. This has happened to every parent. And you're like, what? Right? It's just part of it. So it's your job when there's really a meltdown, just be like, let's do that field thing. I got you. And like, we'll bring in some help, or like, we'll do whatever. And the more chill you can be, but chill is a grounded thing. And look, can we talk about the other thing that's just so important? Sex.
Let's talk about it.
Moms
Yeah.
mom's gonna need to heal after giving birth. And hopefully if you're listening to the show and things are going the way they're supposed to, it's a good idea to have a vaginal birth because of the microbiome and things like that. If you can't do it, you can't do it, but it is preferable for outcomes. But whichever way, mom's gonna need some healing afterwards, and isn't really gonna wanna have sex, and probably won't even feel that sexy. Like, her body just went through this huge, stretchy, weird thing, and things are sagging, and boobs are hurting, and like it's not the same as it was. If mom's nutrition is good and she didn't have some genetic pathway for stress or whatever, And this is really critical. Most women today get thyroid dysfunction
Yeah,
after they have kids.
that happened to my wife for sure. She's still dealing with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, thyroid dysfunction raises risk of all sorts of things, including divorce.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, I had this vibrant partner and now she's like sleepy all the time and all she could do is like feed the baby and roll over. Right. So get it tested. If there's any energy thing that doesn't come back after 6 weeks, just get tested. And then you might need to be on thyroid for a little while, maybe just for a long time. It's okay, whatever it is. But you go and work on getting your energy back, work on getting your hormones back. And then as a guy, you might need to take a course on like intimate touch if no one ever taught you how to do that. Like take a class on yoni massage, right?
Mhm.
And it's going to take a while to warm up your woman after she's had babies, or maybe you'll be lucky. Some women just bounce back a month later. They're like, give it to me. And you're like, thank God, right? That's not typical though. So then you might spend quite a while just, making sure that 2, 3 nights a week, there's intimate touch, whether it's genital or not, doesn't matter. Her system has to recalibrate to that. Right. And that will make a huge difference. And at a certain point, like ideally you've worked out, you can talk about that stuff. But understand if you're a woman listening to the show, your guy wants to have sex with you not to get off because that's how we connect, right? It is necessary, like eating is to everyone. We need to connect with the most close person in our life. And if you're too tired to do it all the time, and even worse, if you say yes and then don't do it over and over and over, it hurts guys in ways that we will not show you, but it really, truly hurts. And so it's okay to make a date night and say, you know what? Yes, the baby's a month old. We're going to make a date night. The date night is you go somewhere without the baby and you have someone trustworthy watching the baby, ideally with no phone and no baby monitor,
Mhm.
right? And this is really hard for moms. Oh my God, it's hard, but it doesn't matter if it's hard. It's hard going to the gym. It's hard getting a job. You fucking do it because you're an adult,
Yeah.
right?
Really important.
Yeah. And you
Getting out,
do it.
babysitters. I can't believe how many moms have met their babies over 1 year old and they've never left it with somebody.
Yeah. It's not okay.
No, we had, yeah, it was, I think 3 weeks in, we had our first date night with
That's awesome,
babysitter.
and we're
Love
not talking overnight dates, babies about every year old of a kid, they can handle 1 day of mom being gone,
it. Mm.
right? So when they're 3 days is manageable, maybe 4 to stretch when they're 4 or 5, but it's a rough rule, but it works pretty well.
Yeah, I've seen that. Our daughter's 6 and it's about 6 days now, like
Yeah,
you said, yeah. And for
yeah,
my wife too, it's like she just judged it on how when she felt it was too long.
mhm.
Probably, like you said, the same.
It's pretty similar, and mom is connected to her baby's gonna just know, and I remember when my daughter was about 6, she was into Thomas the Tank Engine like no one's business, and mom had to go to Japan for a career thing, and it was like a 9-day trip or something like that, and mommy's going to Japan to get you a Thomas the Tank Engine, and she's so excited, oh my God, and they have this special one in Japan. She's so excited, and after 6 days, she's like she goes, I miss mommy. I don't really need the Thomas. Can mommy come back without the Thomas? And it was so precious, right? She had this strong desire and she wanted her mom. So, phone calls and all. And, ideally she would have come back then because like that's the
Mm.
right length.
Yeah, no.
And I just want to say one other thing about the date night. This is something that can save relationships. Can I swear on the show?
Yes.
All right. Fuck, then eat. There's your date night.
There you go.
Like seriously,
Yes.
that's how you do it,
Yes.
right? And because your baby's probably at home, unless you drop it off at a friend's house, you're gonna need a place to do it. And I don't care if it's the back of your Winnebago or a hotel or a friend's place. I don't know. You do you, right?
In the
But
woods. Yeah, where
yeah, whatever. This is Austin. I'm not even gonna guess. But what you just and this is the problem. A lot of even when your kids are older, you go out, you have some drinks, you eat, you're too full, and you just don't know. Intimacy is nourishment, and then you eat, and that just works so much better. And even if the intimacy isn't full on intercourse, that's fine. But you get naked, you eye gaze, you breathe together, and you connect.
Mm.
And if you do that, your kids will be happier, your relationship will be happier. And it is the one thing parents neglect the most. And it's the guy's job to set up the dates because mom is too tired and too busy and she's not going to feel that she needs it. But when she gets it, just that touch, it's going to really remind her of who she is. It's really important.
Yeah, that's great advice. Pelvic floor recovery?
Pelvic floor recovery, different women have different issues with this. If your hips popped out and had a lot of pain, you had to wear a hip belt. This is because of prolactin during pregnancy, and your ligaments become very, very lax. And if you had surgery where they cut your abdominals open, you're going to need full on PT. So I would recommend actually getting a PT person or doing a specific course for postpartum. Most of the time, like do Kegels, which, tighten your those actually aren't going to do it. There's all kinds of ligaments out there. It's better than nothing, but there's work you can do with jade eggs. I'm going to recommend a radical solution here. My friend Kim Anami runs a course on orgasmic birth, which is how it is meant to be at its highest expression. And she has one called vaginal kung fu. And you want to get all of the muscles back in. The cool thing is dad can help.
Mm. Cool. So that I'll put a link to Kim Anami's course there. Yeah, that's awesome. We did a program called Birth Fit. It's like
Oh, you have one?
yeah, we have
Good.
there's a Birth Fit in Austin, and a lot of cities have them now. So Birth Fit's great if you have
Okay, love it. And I didn't talk about that, but yeah, exercise during pregnancy, not intense, not running until right at the end. Your body doesn't need that. It's not your job to be tough when you're pregnant. Like it's your job to be like soft and flowy. But keeping the pelvic floor and the ligaments strong is good. Post pregnancy, if you tore, which does happen, and it's happened with friends, there can be a lot of pain, and the pain is usually tied in with whatever fucking doctor allowed the tearing,
yeah.
right? So there's oftentimes some like forgiveness, some primal movements, sounds, and you got to let that out because if it's still hurting weeks and months later, then there's usually a trauma response in the local tissues you want to work on, and then you want to get that strength back pre and post. If you ignore that, you're going to have sneeze peeing
Mm.
probably for the rest of your life.
Oof.
It's unnecessary, it's not normal, and it's something that you can train around. You can also do things like the wasabi method, which is a shockwave therapy that works on that, and there's various electrical devices that work as well.
Okay. Awesome. Serenity wanted me to ask you about detoxing for kids. We know you used to give your kids charcoal after
Oh, yeah.
restaurant foods. Would you still do that? Is that you recommend that, or is there?
Yeah.
I'm talking about detoxing for kids.
So many kids barf all the time. Mine didn't barf very often. It's because if you eat food with less toxins, then the body wants to barf less. Like, who would have thought? And they get less diarrhea and farting and all that. But when you're eating suspect foods or just kids have, blah, my tummy hurts. What you want to do is take a small amount of activated charcoal. And if the kids are old enough to have honey, and if you're under 1 year old, you don't give kids honey. And I'd make little balls out of it. So you just take activated charcoal, a little bit of honey, just kind of, your hands will be black, doesn't matter, do a little bowl. And then the kids eat that. It tastes good. And their tongues and their face is all black, whatever. But usually within minutes, their stomach stops hurting. And
Oh.
also use the red light on their stomach. It solves nausea. We call it the magic fairy light. And, all these, you put it over their stomach. My tummy hurts. Oh, get the light panel. Put the
Wow.
light panel on, have some charcoal, have some little bit of water, and it feels better. And then they're on about their day.
That's great. That's genius. A lot of little black balls. I can see that. Black honey balls. So that's awesome. Yeah. What's one thing you do differently as a dad going back?
I would have been more militant about date nights. I would have done the thyroid test. I waited a year before, and when finally it was just out of frustration. You know what I recommend for all couples now? Look, I run high-level masterminds for entrepreneurs, and I've spent, God knows, probably $500,000 over the last 10 plus years on learning how to be an awesome entrepreneur and hanging out with other entrepreneurs where I can teach them something or they can teach me something. During that time, I spent less than anything on any kind of relationship coaching.
Mm.
So you want to look at your relationship as its own entity, just like a business is an entity. And you're not going to know shit about how to run a relationship because all you know is what you learned from your parents or maybe read in a book, but you don't have modeling, you don't have community. So look at joining something like We Deepen. Look at any kind of relationship coach, even in fact, I would say especially when your relationship is very strong. Like,
Yeah.
look, we have a strong relationship. We're lucky. We should keep that. So let's look at how we manage our relationship like a business. It's not a business, but it has a marketing function and an HR function and like all the things. And each of those, you have to learn how it works in a business or you go out of business. No one ever talks about that in your relationship.
Yeah.
And everyone is going to have grudges and anger and all that. It's a lot easier to talk about the hard things when you have a referee in the room. So I think it's really good advice. I didn't take it. No one ever told me to. But if I could go back, like, certainly within a year of being with someone, like, hey, why don't we have an expert come in and tell us what we're doing that's dumb that we neither one of us knows?
Mhm.
It's really easy, and it's one of the best investments you could ever make.
Uh, I ask all my guests this question. Almost everybody talks about something to do with their kid or with their baby. And so you're the first one to say, I would have invested more in my relationship. You're also,
You want to be great parents? Look, you're going to do exactly what your parents did, right? And you're going to pass that shit onto your kids. And when I say that shit, that might trigger you. If you're alive, your parents did their absolute best, and it was probably not very good. Why? Well, let's see. They got it from a bunch of people who went through World War II and had all this weird fear, and they got it from the people who went through World War I, and like there were
pressure.
plagues and
Yeah.
scourges and trauma and but dude, human history is pretty ugly, and multi-generational trauma is a thing, and no one taught any of them how to have relationships. So if your parents had a healthy, strong marriage, not just stayed married, but you are in the 0.001% of fortunate. And even then, your partner probably didn't, or their parents didn't have the same one. So for God's sake, like break the cycle. It's easier than it ever was, or at least use ChatGPT to do it if you don't want to pay somebody. It's
Yeah.
not that hard anymore.
We love our relationship coach. We wouldn't be here without
Yeah.
them. Like best investment. I mean, it's relationships are tough. We weren't taught how to do it.
Yeah, and then your kids will
You
see
teach it.
that,
Yeah.
right? The worst thing you can do is act like everything's okay when it's not okay, because your kids know that, and then they think, God, the world is really crazy. I can feel things aren't okay, but my kids
Mhm.
or my parents are acting like it. It's just confusing. So model it. They are only going to do what you show them. They will not do what you tell them.
Yeah. What's interesting is like, I think before babies, investing in the relationship, maintaining the connection often falls to the woman. Like she's more naturally intimate and connecting and kind of like sort of leads in that relationship container. And then she has a baby, and now so much of her energy is on the baby's relationship and helping the baby, and all her
Yeah.
intuitions driven there. And that's, I think, it, like you're saying, really falls to the man now to maintain the relationship with the woman. And that's like, it's like new. It's like we've never, but she used to do it, and now she's not doing it, and we feel abandoned. Like now she only cares about the
Oh,
baby and not me. And it's actually it's your time to step up and say, like, she still wants to be in connection with you, but
wow.
she can't lead it anymore. You got to lead it now.
You're you're right. And one of the things that Christina Weber teaches, top relationship expert that I've dated for a while
Mhm.
now,
Yeah. She's great.
and she teaches that one person has to be CEO of the relationship, and
Mm.
it's almost always the woman.
Yeah.
But one thing that CEOs do is they delegate, right? And some women get very angry about that. Like, why do I have to do the delegating? You should, dude. Fuck that. If both parents know everything that's going on with everything, you've just cut your efficiency in half and you've created stress. And so, look, this is what coaches are for, delineation of effort. And it's quite common that that's what it is that it's, the CEO of the relationship. And it's possible too. Look, I'm normally the CEO, like I manage our social engagements, and you husband, you pay the bills or you take out the trash, whatever, you divide these things up. But usually someone's responsible for the health of the relationship, and you can delegate that and you can swap it off if you want to, right? But it needs to be spoken and chosen. And yeah, mom's going to be a little tired for that.
Yeah.
But if it's suddenly the dad's job to be social secretary and he's like, what I really wanted to do was going out with my buddies and sit in the cold plunge and, talk about, the latest psychedelic. That's what he wants to do. And he can try to be a social secretary. And I'm not delegating that. But look, some people are good at arranging parties and schedules and connecting, and it's more often women than men. And
Yeah.
it's not saying men can't do it. And not saying that if your wife when there's a baby says, look, can you handle this? I need you to figure this out. It's just probably not as easy for you unless you're one of those guys who's blessed with that skill set.
Yeah.
Right. So
You
talk
know,
about it.
I'm still a baby at learning to derive intimacy and connection. I think a lot of men are, but like
Mm,
what I can do is book a babysitter and plan a date night. What I
there you
can
go.
do is like create space for us to be intimate and make sure the baby's handled and the doors are locked and the space is quiet. Like I know how to do that. Right. And so that's what you're
It's
saying.
perfect.
Simple as that. She'll take over if you create the container.
There you go. You said it perfectly. And one suggestion there, book a yoni massage. Now, if you're listening to this and you're not from Austin, yoni is what hippie women use to refer to the vagina. And there are women who are like midwife, kind of like healer women, and they are experts in releasing uh, stuff around the vagina and in the vagina. And if you talk to one and you can hire a yoni massage expert to teach you how to give your wife or your partner a yoni massage. And it is not the same as intimate touching. It's intimate, but it's, it probably will end up in a blissful orgasmic experience, but that's not the point of it. And learning how to do it's a specific technique. Wow, that's a power date. Like, hey, I brought in an expert. Of course, your partner has to be down with another woman, who's fully clothed, like teaching you new techniques. But it's a magical experience,
Wow.
and that can be like one of those things. Like, do something that's in her best interest too.
All right, got it. I'll add the list. I'll book a yoni massage. So,
Sweet.
new book, Heavily Meditated. Tell us about this, especially for dads, for new parents. Yeah.
Most important book, maybe after the Better Baby book for our audience. It became the number one best-selling meditation and number one best-selling philosophy book in the country. Hit the bestseller list.
Congrats. It's amazing.
Thank you. It's my 9th book and definitely the biggest. I talk about why reactivity happens in people, where triggers come from, and what to do about them to permanently turn them off. And this is a technique in the book that took 10 years and more than 1,000 people spending 5 days in my neuroscience lab measuring their brainwaves and developing a technique to turn off a trigger permanently.
Wow.
What your therapist or your coach is going to tell you is, oh, if you're feeling triggered, recognize the trigger, take a deep breath, gently set it to the side and move on. And it's the same thing as, oh, look, I'm on my phone and TikTok and Twitter and whatever they keep popping up on. And your therapist is like, gently swipe left on all the alerts and keep focusing on your email. And no, turn off the alerts in the system settings. Heavily Meditated tells you everything that works fast with meditation. It tells you why you get triggered and has nothing to do with your thinking or your moral qualities, and how to go in and turn off the triggers so they never bother you again. And people spend $20,000 in 5 days with me to learn this, and it's in the book.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if there's one thing that you are guaranteed to happen if you have a kid is you will get triggered on a very regular basis by your
You
partner, by your kids. I mean, that's just like what you're signing up for. So the idea of having a tool for that is
Wow.
probably nobody thinks about that. Oh, I better be prepared to have all my psychological shit challenged in a 6-month period all at once while I'm sleep deprived.
You
That's what
nailed it. There's another nuance that is missing. I don't even think I have it in my Better Baby book because I didn't know it when I wrote the book. If you experience substantial trauma at some time in your childhood, especially really early childhood, like at 6 months or 12 months or 18 months or something, when your child hits that age, there's a very good chance that you will be triggered and you won't know why, and your life will feel like you're falling apart.
Sure.
And it's, if someone dropped you when you were 6 months old and, you were in the hospital or whatever the thing was, your child turns 6 and all of a sudden you have this deep sense of doom and overwhelm. Like, what is going on? It's that your baby, your child will reactivate whatever your experiences were as a young child. And if you grew up in an emotionally rough household, you might have multiple bumps, but knowing what it is and having the techniques to do it and a partner who knows what it is too. So you learn EMDR, you learn tapping, you learn the reset process from heavily meditated, have the tools. Reactivity is just the body trying to stay alive. And if you learn the framework in heavily meditated for why you get triggered, it's just automated systems doing pattern recognition. And if you read heavily meditated, you're going to learn how your children form triggers and
Oh,
you'll know what to do to stop them from doing that.
wow.
It'll
Yeah.
make you a better parent.
What a gift. Wow. Well, cool. Well, such great stuff on here, man. You're such an expert on all these different topics, and so glad to have all your work in the
Yeah.
world, all your work you've done on yourself to be able to show up like this. Yeah, I really
Well,
appreciate
it's been a lot only because I had so much to do. So I'm
it.
happy that we could chat about it. We probably should have done it in person, but we got it done. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for having me on.
yeah, for sure. Super appreciated. And everybody stay dedicated.